Today's big idea: American power hasn't just been about having the biggest stick. It's been about getting others to want to walk with us. In the article Dispensable Nation, Kori Schake argues that recent U.S. foreign policy flips that logic, overestimating that what Washington can coerce alone and underestimating how much U.S. power rests on cooperation. If allies decide they're better off working around us, the danger isn't American withdrawal. It's the world withdrawing from America. The lesson is simple, but uncomfortable. The United States is strongest when others choose our side. That choice is earned through alliances, institutions, open markets, and moral leadership. Treat those partners as dispensable, and they'll test life without us. The result isn't a neat America first world. It's a more hostile order where U.S. leverage shrinks economically, militarily, and diplomatically. So, start in Europe. Public sentiment is shifting. A recent survey found a majority of Europeans now view Donald Trump as, quote, enemy of Europe. And Germany's chancellor has talked openly about accelerating independence from the United States. Excuse me. That was fringe a decade ago. It's edging towards conventional wisdom now. Schake, Kori, whatever the author's name, however you pronounce it, she warns how this translates into hard power and hard cash. If partners want less exposure to U.S. risk, they can skip treasury purchases or demand higher rates, raising our borrowing costs. They can also route supply chains around American components and deepen trade with each other. Just look at the Japan, South Korea, China talks for trilateral free trade agreement this spring. Meanwhile, U.S. pressure on the IMF and World Bank undercuts tools that long worked in Washington's favor. On the security side, American power is profoundly networked. Our ability to surge forces, move quickly through the Suez and Panama Canals, base in Europe and Asia, and coordinate complex operations depends on allied access, basing, and overflight. All things that get harder if public sour on the United States. That's not theory, it's logistics. Credibility matters too. Imagine a Russian probe against a Baltic NATO state accompanied by nuclear threats. If Washington and core Europeans fold, the alliance fractures, and those same Europeans will be less inclined to help the U.S. in Asia or with Iran. So the author argues that equivocation on allied defense and moral equivalence between Russia's aggression and Ukraine's defense erodes the basic American, quote, moral capital that has drawn partners to us. So let's zoom out for a sec. This posture rests on two faulty assumptions. First, that others have no alternative to capitulating to U.S. demands. Second, that the United States can stay dominant without allies. In reality, treat friends as expendable, and they will hedge, integrate with one another, and sometimes side with rivals out of predictability. That is, to quote, solipsism masquerading as strategy. So the irony, America still has extraordinary strengths, a huge domestic market, the dollar's centrality, favorable demographics, innovative universities and companies, and friendly neighbors. But you can burn through these advantages. As the essay says, that's exactly what's happening when we start fights with our allies, bludgeon institutions, and turn foreign assistance and values into afterthoughts. So, the bottom line, American power works best when others bet on us. If Washington acts like alliances, institutions, and shared norms don't matter, others will behave accordingly. And the United States will find itself in a world where access, capital, and cooperation cost more and deliver less. The fix isn't nostalgia. It's recommitting to the cooperative habits that made U.S. leadership durable in the first place. That means repairing trust, protecting the tools of common action, and remembering that the shortest route to American strength runs through other capitals. So this podcast was more or less, or this episode, I guess, is more or less kind of summarizing Kori's article in this past Foreign Affairs. titled Dispensable Nation, America in a Post-American World. So who is this author? She is a senior fellow and director of foreign and defense policy studies at the American Enterprise Institute, and is author of the book Safe Passage, The Transition from British to American Hegemony. She served on the National Security Council and the U.S. State Department during the George W. Bush administration. So the whole point of this podcast and the whole channel in general is basically, like to spark discussion and to gain a deeper understanding in pretty much, specifically for this, like international relations, but, pretty much just like, becoming more, what should we say? I wouldn't say just educated, but, become more, critically thinking individuals, I guess. But anyways, so I'm going to leave this one here. I highly recommend getting a copy of the Foreign Affairs magazine and actually checking it out. And, the comment section is always there for comments, questions, and concerns. So see you guys on the next one.